morning, all, and thanks for joining us as we end this very busy week. Mayor Demings is here. He will discuss and remember two great local public servants who have recently passed away this week. The mayor will also discuss PPE distribution, CARES funding, and some good news on our parks. Also joining us is Chief Judge Don Myers, who will deliver vital information on plans for reopening the court's buildings. We will start with the information from Mayor Demings. Mayor?
All right, thank you, Dr. Williamson, and we do have quite a bit to go over with you today. And it's Friday, and we set out some goals on Monday for this week, and I'll talk about them during this press conference to see if we met those particular goals. But as we move forward, let me just talk about two individuals, two public servants in this community that I had the privilege of working with for many years. The first is former Orlando City Commissioner and former Orange County Commissioner Mary I. Johnson, who was a trailblazer. She was the first Hispanic elected to both of those positions here within Orange County. Among her many accomplishments, she was instrumental in the establishment of the Victim Service Center, which helps heal thousands of survivors of sexual assault and other violent crimes. Mary Johnson was a proud Navy spouse and is survived by 3 sons and 3 grandchildren and 6 great-grandchildren. The second person that I will talk briefly about is former Orange County Sheriff Walt Gallagher, who was a proud United States Marine who served 2 tours in Vietnam. I had the privilege of working with Walt, both in his role as sheriff and then when I was the public safety director here for Orange County. He was the criminal justice coordinator, and I had the opportunity to work with him on a daily basis. While Sheriff Walt Gallagher faced the challenge of dealing with continued growth, during his tenure, 300 new deputies were hired at the Orange County Sheriff's Office. He instituted the concept of community-oriented policing at the Orange County Sheriff's Office, and that was followed by the succeeding sheriffs as well. He was the architect of the agency's gang suppression unit. After leaving the Orange County Sheriff's Office, Walt worked for 14 years as the criminal justice coordinator for Orange County government right here. Again, my heartfelt condolences go out to both the Johnson family and the Gallagher family, and may they rest in peace. I want to remind you about the goals that we laid out for this week. Our goals were threefold. 1, to prevent the spread of the coronavirus in our community. 2, was to help our residents and businesses fully understand the qualifications and paperwork necessary to get the CARES Act funding. I'm going to go over that in much more detail in just a few moments. And then we wanted to continue offering free testing and PPE, or personal protective equipment, to our residents and small businesses. Today is the first day of Florida's Phase 2 reopening. While it is great news seeing our business community and attractions get back to work, we will still be in the middle of a pandemic. So I urge everyone to use caution to continue to slow the spread of the coronavirus within our community. To assist our residents in being able to safely reopen, Orange County has done a total of 2,212, Orange County has a total of 2,212 cases, positive cases of the coronavirus here within our community. Since we last met, our number of deaths have increased. And sadly, I have to report to you, we now have 44 people who have died of the virus here within our community. And so I say to the families who have lost a loved one, our prayers and condolences go out to those families. We have tested over 76,000 individuals in Orange County with a positivity rate remaining at 2.8%. Statewide, the coronavirus positivity rate is 5.4%. Then with the events of this week, with demonstrations all across America, associated with the death of George Floyd in Minneapolis. We've had quite a few right here in our hometown. And so this afternoon, we will have candid conversations with residents in our community through the Orange County MLK initiative. And that will be a town hall, a virtual town hall meeting that we will have. And we will have candid conversations with our community. I'm honored to have leaders such as the Congresswoman Val Demings, who just flew back into town from Washington, D.C., participate in that program, along with Sheriff John Mina, Orlando Police Chief Orlando Rolone, and other community leaders from the state, elected legislative bodies, to other leaders right here in our community. We will have some leaders of community-based organizations that will participate as well. Representatives from the Hispanic Federation, the local NAACP, and others will be joining us for that candid conversation. The WebEx will only allow 1,000 attendees, but anyone has the ability to watch via Orange TV or YouTube, and I invite you, our local media, to cover portions of it as well. But we will be covering it on Orange TV from start to finish. In regards to how you participate, just as a reminder, it does require a registration to get on the WebEx, and in order to register, you can click on the link. We have information on our website. The event, however, will not close for registration until the capacity is reached of 1,000 attendees or more, but already more than 200 people have registered, and we're excited about seeing the passion of the people here in our community and the concern and the care that they have for law enforcement. And so if you want to register, go to ocfl.net/MLK, ocfl.net/MLK. We invite you to participate with us. We're looking for solutions, and we need citizen input in order to shape public policy. Now I'll move on and talk a little bit about the CARES Act funding. Application for the county's federal CARES Act funding programs will begin for small businesses and residents at 8 a.m. on Monday, June the 8th. As a reminder, the Small Business Grant Program provides $10,000 in grant money to eligible small businesses, and the Individual and Family Assistance Program for residents provides a one-time payment of $1,000 per eligible household. So in order to prepare for Monday, I'm saying check now for the eligibility criteria. Go to the website, look at what you will need in order to apply. The funds for both programs are limited. I continue to urge small businesses and residents to review the eligibility criteria and the frequently asked questions that we have posted on the county's website. You can find that information at ocfl.net/Orange Cares. That's ocfl.net/Orange Cares. We told you that we would endeavor to increase testing in appropriate places here within our community. And yesterday, our Orange County Health Services completed 4 consecutive days of free COVID-19 testing that was done at the Apopka High School. A total of 816 residents were tested, and free kits of face masks and hand sanitizer were given to anyone who had an appointment. Next week, beginning on Monday the 8th through Thursday, June the 11th, our health services will provide free testing at the Ventura Elementary School in East Orange County, which is located in the 32822 zip code. Let me say thanks to the Orange County Public Schools for being a tremendous partner with us in helping us expand the testing and reaching more residents here within Orange County. You've heard from Dr. Pino on numerous occasions where he's talked about the data. He could not be here with us today, but we know that a disproportionate number of seniors have contracted the virus and died from the virus. So this week, we will be partnering with the Orlando Housing Authority to provide COVID-19 testing to a vulnerable sector of the population, which includes seniors, those who are disabled, and those who are unable to access other testing sites. The testing will be limited to only the residents and staff at Meadow Lakes Apartments near Pine Hills and the Omega Apartments in Lockhart. Our COVID-19 strike teams, which is made up of Health Services Department employees here within Orange County and the Florida Department of Health and Orange County Fire Rescue, will continue conducting testing next week. Orange County continues to have a multitude of testing locations. The regional Orange County Convention Center drive-through testing site will be expanding or has expanded to offer antibody tests to the general public. They have been doing antibody testing for first responders or frontline workers. They have now expanded to allow antibody testing to the general public. You must be 18 years or older. In order to get information, you can visit again our website at ocfl.net/coronavirus for more details. In order to adequately prepare our community for reopening, we have been continuing to distribute PPE to businesses here in Orange County. Today, our team is at Barnett Park giving free personal protective equipment to small businesses so that their employees and customers can be safe and feel safe as we move to phase 2. We are preparing to reopen better, safer, and stronger together. You're going to hear that sometimes frequently in our community. We are reopening better, safer, stronger together. In total, in phase 2 this week in our small business free PPE initiative, we served nearly 5,000 small businesses. The exact number that they gave me was 4,919, so I'm saying nearly 5,000. We provided 200,000 free reusable cloth masks and 100,000 bottles of hand sanitizer. And there's a map that you can see that is on the pedestal that details where all the businesses were located in Orange County, which picked up cloth masks, and you can see that the demand was high, reaching throughout the entire county. So stay tuned to Orange County social media channels for future distribution events. Again, our goal is to keep our positivity rate low. With the governor announcing phase 2 reopening beginning today, our Parks and Recreation Division plans to lift some of the restrictions at our parks. The athletic fields at 16 Orange County parks have been in high demand since the governor lifted the restrictions for youth sporting activities. Our Parks Division will open athletic fields for youth sports and tennis centers beginning this coming Tuesday, June the 9th. We are taking a phased approach to ensure that our children, our youth, remain safe while they re-engage in sporting activities. For example, open athletic fields will be designated for youth practices and skills development training only. No games or scrimmages at the beginning phase until early July. We will also reopen tennis center pro shops operated by the Orange County Parks and Recreation Division through our contracted instructors. You will be able to view details of the opening plans for our parks at ocfl.net/parks. Many of you have also expressed questions and frustrations about playgrounds being closed along with basketball courts, pools, and splash pads. Well, our Parks and Recreations Department is working on presenting a reopening phase plan next week, and so we hope to announce very soon about what will be done with the playgrounds, basketball courts, pools, and splash pads in unincorporated Orange County. And now I'm going to ask Chief Judge Myers to come forward and share additional details. But before he does that, we also want to acknowledge Orange TV turned 25 years old this week. And so we have a very talented staff to ensure that Orange County government has excellent communication with our community on a continuous basis. So thank you to the staff that does the heavy lifting every day, and we've called upon them many times each day recently because of the virtual environment that we have been working in for the last several months. So Chief Judge Myers.
Thank you, Mayor. Good morning, everybody. That's a hot mic. I am pleased to be able to be with you today and to talk with you a little bit about the plans for the reopening of our courthouse buildings throughout Orange County. It's been several months in the making, and it is a little bit coincidental that we find ourselves in the court transitioning from phase 1 to phase 2 operations at the same time that the state is. And I say that because, as I've explained to you in the past, the court's plans are guided by the Supreme Court as a separate branch of government. And as a result, the Supreme Court orders are those things that we are most focused on in making decisions about reopening the court systems. The Florida Supreme Court has outlined a 4-step plan for the full restoration of court operations. And so we have been in phase 1, which began back on March the 13th, in which in-person contact was inadvisable. Court facilities have been effectively closed to the public, and in-person proceedings are rare, occurring only in emergency or essential services. And so we are prepared now to move to phase 2, which is described as limited in-person contact, is authorized for certain purposes, and requires the use of protective measures. And we actually opened the courthouse this morning for phase 2, in a soft opening, I would say. We had limited numbers of proceedings scheduled, but we will move fully into phase 2 on Monday, June the 8th. Phases 3 and 4, which lay ahead, have not been fully defined by the Supreme Court except to indicate more access to in-person court services with relaxed protective measures. And so our judges and our court staff have been working diligently during phase 1 to hold proceedings remotely whenever possible. And we've had more than 10,000 court events that have occurred over the course of the last 2.5 months as we have worked forward using those remote means, video conferencing and telephone conferencing. In preparation for phase 2, the circuit has adopted an operational plan that meets a certain number of benchmark criteria that were laid out by the Supreme Court for improving conditions, the absence of active cases inside the court facilities, and cooperative efforts with our justice system partners. The operational plan identifies the steps that we have taken to ensure that people are safe inside the building and that they feel, and specifically address processes and protocols for remote hearings to continue whenever possible, health and safety screenings for every individual that enters the courthouse, hygiene protocols, cleaning and disinfecting, and the use of protective personal equipment, training for our judges and for our staff, addressing issues of vulnerable populations that are compelled to come to the courthouse for different reasons, and court facilities and screening issues. As of this past Monday, all persons who enter the Orange County Courthouse, including judges, court staff, deputies, security personnel, and court users, have been required to wear a mask and to undergo a health screening, including a temperature check before entering our court facilities. For individuals without a mask, because of the partnership of the county, we've been able to provide one to them free of charge. No one of more than 100.4 degrees or greater who answers affirmatively to any of the health screening questions has been allowed to enter the courthouse, and that will continue. Court staff will provide to judges or their judicial assistants the name and contact information of anybody who has been refused admittance to the court or who has failed the health screenings, so that that judge or department can follow up as appropriate with that individual to ensure reset of a court date or accommodation to appear at that court date through remote means. Social distancing guidelines inside and outside of the courthouse have been and will be strictly enforced. According to the CDC, of course, everyone should continue to remain at least 6 feet apart. To minimize the number of people in our buildings, hearing times have been staggered, and court users will only be allowed to enter the courthouse 30 minutes prior to their hearing times. Signage has been installed, again with the cooperation and participation of the county. Thank you, Mayor, for that. Installed both inside and outside the courthouse to help us to maintain appropriate social distancing. And that includes directional movement through the courthouse in a safe manner, as well as social distancing when lines occur. Hand sanitizer is widely available throughout all of the court facilities in the Ninth Circuit, including public areas, inside and outside courtrooms, and near elevators. We have increased and detailed cleaning and disinfecting protocols that have been established. High traffic areas and frequently touched surfaces will be disinfected multiple times per day. And after hours deep cleaning occurs nightly. We are optimistic about the safety and the circumstances inside of our courthouse right now. And we recognize, of course, the fears, natural, as well as the concerns about being compelled to come back to a building that consists of nearly 1 million square feet with elevators and escalators and lots of high contact touch points. But we have done everything within our abilities to ensure that this is a safe space for the public to return for the purpose of court proceedings. As I said, those court proceedings will be limited initially. We will define certain types of proceedings that can occur consistent with the Supreme Court's orders, and we will continue to utilize remote technology whenever possible. Finally, I want to bring you just a brief update with respect to mortgage foreclosures, and evictions. The governor signed an executive order extending the mortgage foreclosure and eviction directives through July the 1st of 2020. And as a consequence, both the Orange and Osceola clerks of court have been instructed to suspend all actions related to mortgage foreclosure cases, cancel all pending mortgage foreclosure sales, and to suspend all actions that are related to residential evictions related to the non-payment of rent as a result of the virus. Again, the Ninth Circuit's administrative order should not be construed by anyone to relieve them of the obligation to pay rent or their mortgage during this time. We're continuing to do everything that we can to provide access to justice while safeguarding the health and welfare of the community. We are aware that these increased measures may result in some delays at the courthouse. We appreciate the public's patience and understanding as we transition through this phase, but want to reassure you we are doing everything we can first and foremost to keep you safe while in the courthouse. For additional updates, I again refer you to the court's website at ninthcircuit.org and encourage you to follow us on Facebook and Twitter at Ninth Circuit FL. I want to thank you all very much for the time, Mayor. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Judge, and we'll open it up for any questions at this time that you may have.
A few questions for you, Mayor. Lauren Seabrook, Channel 9. First of all, we have had continued uptick in cases. I know Dr. Pina is not here, but with the 2.8% remaining with the positivity rate, are you still feeling comfortable with that? Or are you concerned at all about these increases that we keep seeing, not just locally, but in the state of Florida?
85% or so of the individuals who have tested positive have recovered. And yes, you are correct in that we do see new cases each day. However, in terms of the percentage of individuals who are testing positive of all those who are being tested, it remains relatively low. So I'm comfortable with the reopening plans at this point because of the screenings, the sanitization measures, and other safety protocols that are being put in place as we reopen, I believe that gives us a line of defense against the spread of the virus in this community. But it's something that we monitor on a day-to-day basis, and so we'll have to probably 2 weeks after any of the reopening occurs, we have to reassess what we're doing to ensure that we're not indirectly hurting ourselves in the process.
And I just have a couple of questions just with your background as sheriff. Some folks were wondering what your thoughts were on the tear gas being used in some of these protests at the end of the protest when rocks and bottles and things had been thrown. Just your perspective on that, if you think that's the appropriate use.
It may be appropriate, but I'm not sure because I am not aware of all of the specifics associated with the decision to deploy at that time, and so it wouldn't be appropriate for me to comment on it without knowing all of the facts. But generally speaking, in terms of large gatherings, the role of law enforcement is to protect the people, to ensure that they're able to express their First Amendment rights. That does not mean that as you express your First Amendment rights, it trumps the property rights and the safety and security of others. And so there's that happy balance that law enforcement has to look at there to keep the broader public safe during those events. And what I do know is that both the Sheriff's Office and the Orlando Police Department, they have robust policies, they're well-trained, but without knowing the specific circumstances of what was happening on the ground right then, I can't say whether it was appropriate or not to use it at that moment.
And just one more, I also wondered if maybe you could share some experience or insight on what it might be like for some officers or deputies who are African American on the front lines of this, who may be torn between, wanting to fight for equal rights and fight against injustice, but also they have their commitment to the badge.
The overwhelming majority of law enforcement officers who serve, regardless of their race, ethnicity, are good people, and they're trying to do good in their community. Certainly those who are people of color, the African American and black law enforcement officers, they have a different lens by which they see the world around them based on the sum total of their life experiences. And so we all bring those inherent biases to the table when we police, but through training, to train for diversity and inclusion and respecting the rights of all people, what they try to do is train to have a desired outcome in the way of performance of any of those law enforcement officers. But every law enforcement agency has to continuously review its policies, procedures, training, et cetera, to ensure that it meets the needs of the here and now, the day in which they are policing. So for the nearly 40 years that I spent in law enforcement, our agencies were constantly under review, under revision, under reform. So sometimes when I hear those who are demonstrating saying we're calling for a reform of the criminal justice system, I can tell you for the nearly 40 years that I served, they were always calling for reform. And good law enforcement agencies should not be afraid to open themselves up for review by the public. They should not be afraid to change policies and procedures and practices that they have in place to ensure that they are providing a type of service that the citizens deserve and will demand that they do. So today we see that all across America. We have young people and others who are out demonstrating, and I don't see it as a bad thing. It's part of the process, it's part of the here and now that we are living in.
I've got a couple of questions, but since we're on the law enforcement topic, I'll stick with that for now. Perhaps by now you've seen the video of the traffic stop that escalated with the smashing of the window and the arrest of the young woman inside the car. That being an Orange County Sheriff's Office matter, I was first off curious about what your thoughts are about that issue, about that stop, and whether or not you feel there may have been excessive force used. And also, on top of that, do you feel, I'm not sure what the purview is or the authority that you have over the sheriff's office, but since they're both county agencies, do you feel that there is some authority that you could exercise or needs to be exercised as opposed when it comes to uses of force and whether or not that particular incident went too far?
In all fairness, I saw a brief portion of a video that it wasn't clear to me the context of what was happening there. And so what I can tell you is I agree with Sheriff Mina, who I heard him say that he reviewed the video and he has called for an inquiry into the actions of the deputies that were involved. And so I'll have to leave it there and trust that they're going to do the right thing within the sheriff's office. You know, the law enforcement officers who are out patrolling the streets, they are human beings and they're not infallible. And there has been friction, there have been confrontation there that most recently the confrontations primarily were not instigated by our local police. There are agitators who are in the crowds who are creating confrontation. Overall, the majority of the individuals who I see demonstrating are peaceful. They're peacefully doing that. They're engaged in I think, a healthy, wholesome dialogue with law enforcement, and I encourage that to continue. Will there be some police officers, because of being chronically stressed, a lot of anxiety associated with the time that we're living in, are some going to, I'm going to say, misbehave, miscalculate the response that they should proceed with in some of these circumstances? Yes. And I think in order to get the desired results that we all want to see, it's all about supervision, it's about discipline, and I believe that at least I've heard so far from the sheriff and the police chief, that they intend to reassess, to supervise these events and then hold people accountable. We all just want accountability in the process, and so I will wait to see what that ultimately turns out to be, and I'll leave it there. Having served as a law enforcement officer, I know that it's a tough job. I still encourage people to, if you want to change these agencies, be about the change. Look to join these law enforcement agencies, become law enforcement officers, and put yourself in that situation where you are out perhaps policing. If you care about the community, look for those opportunities to get engaged.
I'd also like to ask if you could elaborate a little bit about the CARES Act, about its importance in the community and its implementation here.
The CARES Act is a symbol of the fact that we do care about the people in Orange County, and we're endeavoring to do the best that we can with the limited funds that we do have to help the people in our community. And so I hope that our residents understand that, and as we move forward next week with the applications, also understand that we don't have enough money to help everyone, but we're trying to bridge a gap. We will continue our advocacy for other ways to help the people through federal, state, or other local sources. So we are leveraging our resources to help get us back going within our economy.
Good morning, Mayor. Amanda Castro from Channel 6. Staying on the CARES Act funding, can you tell us how much money is eligible for both the small businesses and the families opportunities? And then since you opened it up 8 a.m. Monday, any concerns about the system being overwhelmed? And then one final question, just staying on that. Well, let's start with that. I just forgot my third question, but let's start with that. The money amount and concerns about the system being overwhelmed, since a lot of people will most likely be applying for this.
We have $72.9 million set aside for business assistance, and we have $72.9 million set aside for individual and family assistance. Am I concerned about the system being overwhelmed? We reviewed it. My staff has assured me, as late as this morning, that they're ready to go. They have a process that they have put in place. We have staffed up, but we don't know what we don't know. When we open the system up, we should be able to adequately process applications, and what we will do, we'll process a few thousand, make certain that we get all of them done, and we will reopen and reopen. We have a measured approach that is built into the system to manage the demand.
Mr. Mayor, it's Steve Hudak from the Sentinel. I apologize for asking this question again. You've addressed it several times about the Republican National Convention, that nobody's even approached you about it. But there are certain things circulating on social media that have quoted you, actually erroneously, that you don't want it to come here. There are people who think it would bring a lot of business and the hotels would be full. Can you clarify where you are on this?
I'm going to try to be as clear as I can here. I love my community. First, I'll start there. And my job as mayor is to make decisions in the best interests of all of the Orange County residents. And having said that, when I make those decisions, I have to look at the totality of the circumstances. Right now in America, America's got a problem with perception in terms of justice, inequality, etc. And no matter which political party that you are a member of, I believe that any community that hosts a political party's convention in the environment with the conditions that we have now are going to be susceptible to mass demonstrations. I don't want that for our community. For many reasons, because we have now been in a period of a pandemic for an extended period of time. All of our anxieties are at a heightened level. All of our frustrations are at a heightened level because people are out of work, people are underemployed, people have insufficient access to food. Law enforcement and those other frontline workers have been working tirelessly for days. And a certain amount of fatigue will set in. And here we find ourselves on top of a pandemic. We now have demonstrations daily, day after day after day, where our first responders are being taxed to deal with the present age that we live in. Infuse then politics into the equation with a political convention, I think it's an ingredient for failure.
Two questions that were texted in. The first one is from Ryan Lynch with the Orlando Business Journal. What kind of demand have you seen so far for the small business grants? Have a large amount of people reached out?
On a daily basis, in terms of the hits on our website for interest in the business assistance program, we are seeing 8,000 to 9,000 hits a day on our website. So there's significant interest in that. Conversely, for the crisis assistance for families and individuals, we are seeing 30,000 or so hits a day on our website. So if you look at that, that kind of gauges somewhat the interest in those two particular programs that we're going to offer.
And the last question comes from Jess Miller at News 13. For the past 2 days, Florida has seen between 1,300 and 1,400 new cases of coronavirus, which is a significant spike from the daily low in the past couple of weeks. Meantime, the CDC is warning of people not following guidelines and a concern for resurgence. Are you concerned this could be getting worse again as more things reopen?
I'm concerned. I'm concerned about all of these things, but am I overly concerned about it? No, because we come and we report every few days to all of you what that positivity rate is, and it remains low. So there is no data to indicate thus far that any of the public policy decisions that have been made have aggravated the spread of the virus within our community. If that changes, then we're going to have to change our public policies as well. Okay. So, Judge, you got off without any questions. So what we're going to do, we're going to conclude this portion of the press event, and we're going to do a portion in Spanish, and I'm going to ask Commissioner Maribel Gomez-Cordero to come forward, and Ms. Ilia Torres, my special assistant, to come forward, because there's some information we want to make certain gets out to all segments of our community about some of the things I talked about. Buenos dias. I know that this is an earlier press conference than we normally do, but I want to share some specific information with our Spanish-speaking community regarding some very important updates.
Buenos días. Entendemos que esta conferencia de prensa es un poco más temprano del usual, pero aún así queríamos compartir información específica que tenemos para ustedes en el día de hoy.
First, it is my honor to share with you that former Orlando City Commissioner and former Orange County Commissioner Mary I. Johnson passed recently.
Le informo que la excomisionada de la ciudad de Orlando, así como la excomisionada del condado de Orange, Mary Johnson, recientemente falleció.
She was the first Hispanic elected to the Orange County Commission and the City of Orlando Commission.
La señora Johnson fue la primera hispana elegida para ambos puestos de comisionado en la ciudad y en el condado.
She remains one of my favorite public servants.
La señora Johnson es uno de los servidores públicos favoritos del alcalde.
She was a champion for women, Hispanics, minorities, and all people.
Ella fue una campeona de las causas de las mujeres, de los hispanos, de las minorías y de toda la comunidad.
Among her many accomplishments, she was instrumental in the establishment of the Victim Service Center,
Entre sus logros fue instrumental en el establecimiento del Centro de Servicio para Víctimas,
which helps heal thousands of survivors of sexual assault and other violent crimes.
El centro ayuda a sanar a miles de sobrevivientes de agresión sexual y otros delitos violentos.
Commissioner Mary I. Johnson was a proud Navy spouse and is survived by 3 sons and 3 grandchildren and 6 great-grandchildren.
La comisionada Mary Johnson fue una esposa orgullosa de un miembro de la Marina y le sobreviven 3 hijos, 3 nietos y 6 bisnietos.
Funeral arrangements will be announced at a later date.
Los detalles de su funeral serán anunciados próximamente.
Today is the first day of Florida's Phase 2 reopening.
Hoy es el primer día de la reapertura de la fase 2 para el estado de Florida.
While it is great news seeing our business community and attractions get back to work, we are still in the middle of a pandemic.
Si bien es cierto que es una gran noticia ver a nuestra comunidad empresarial y a nuestras atracciones regresar al trabajo, todavía estamos en el medio de una pandemia.
So I urge everyone to use caution to continue to slow the spread of the coronavirus.
Por lo que le insto a todos a continuar tomando precauciones para disminuir la propagación del virus.
Orange County now has 2,212 cases of individuals who have tested positive for the virus within our community and 44 deaths.
El condado de Orange ahora tiene 2.212 casos de individuos cuyas pruebas de COVID han arrojado positivos y tenemos 44 muertes registradas.
As Orange County Mayor, I offer my condolences to the families of those who have passed on.
Como alcalde del condado de Orange, el alcalde ofrece condolencias a las familias de aquellos que han fallecido a causa del virus.
This afternoon, it is my honor to announce that we will be holding a forum called the MLK Forum with candid conversations about the current state of affairs in our community and in America as it relates to police-community relations.
Nos complacemos en anunciarle que en la tarde de hoy llevaremos a cabo una asamblea virtual titulada Conversaciones Sinceras con nuestra comunidad para hablar sobre el estado de los asuntos de los eventos que han transcurrido en nuestra comunidad posterior a la muerte del señor Floyd.
This afternoon's town hall is a virtual town hall that will include leaders such as the Honorable Congresswoman Val Demings, Sheriff John Mina, Orlando Police Chief Rolón, and other elected officials.
La asamblea virtual de la tarde de hoy contará con la participación de la congresista Val Demings, el alguacil de la policía Sheriff Mina y el jefe de la policía de Orlando Rolón.
Also, representatives from the Hispanic Federation and the local NAACP will be joining us.
También nos acompañarán representantes de la Federación Hispana y representantes de la entidad NAACP.
The WebEx will only allow 1,000 attendees, but anyone who has the ability to watch television can follow us on Orange TV or YouTube.
La plataforma WebEx tiene capacidad para 1,000 participantes, pero cualquiera que tenga acceso a sistema de televisión o a YouTube puede ver la transmisión en estas plataformas.
In order to register to be one of the 1,000 virtual participants, you will need to visit our website at ocfl.net/MLK.
Para participar de la asamblea virtual deberá registrarse en la página web ocfl.net/MLK.
Again, we will be having a conversation about police-community relations.
Nuevamente, la asamblea estará centrada en temas relacionados con las relaciones de la policía y la comunidad.
I also want to share with you that beginning on Monday, June the 8th, Orange County will begin to take applications for CARES Act funding.
Además, el alcalde desea anunciar que a partir del lunes 8 de junio, el condado comenzará a recibir aplicaciones para fondos federales CARES.
As a reminder, the Small Business Grant Program provides $10,000 in grant money to eligible small businesses with 25 or fewer employees.
Como recordatorio, el programa de ayuda económica para pequeñas empresas proporciona $10,000 en fondos de subsidio a pequeñas empresas que tengan 25 empleados o menos.
Through the Individual and Family Assistance Program, residents will be provided one-time payments of $1,000 per eligible household.
El programa de asistencia individual y familiar para residentes ofrece un pago único de $1,000 por hogares elegibles.
We want you to check our website now in order to prepare for Monday's application process.
Los invitamos a verificar nuestra página web ahora para que puedan prepararse antes de que comience el proceso de solicitud el lunes.
Information about eligibility can be found by visiting our website at ocfl.net/orangecares.
Toda la información sobre elegibilidad la pueden conseguir en la página web ocfl.net/orangecares.
Next week, starting Monday through Thursday, our health services will provide free testing at Ventura Elementary School.
La próxima semana, a partir del lunes 8 de junio hasta el jueves 11 de junio, nuestro Departamento de Servicios de Salud proporcionará pruebas gratuitas en la Escuela Elemental Ventura.
We appreciate the partnership with Orange County Public Schools in providing the testing locations.
Apreciamos la colaboración de las escuelas públicas del Condado de Orange en proporcionarnos las facilidades físicas.
You've heard Dr. Pino discuss the data associated with the virus, and we know that a disproportionate number of seniors have contracted the virus and died of it.
Ustedes han escuchado al doctor Pino discutir los datos asociados con el virus y cómo ha afectado desproporcionadamente a personas mayores de edad.
So next week, we're going to be focusing on Orlando Housing Authority units that house seniors and other vulnerable sectors of our population.
La semana que viene nos enfocaremos en colaborar con la Autoridad de Vivienda de Orlando y varios de sus complejos para realizar pruebas a personas mayores de edad y otros sectores vulnerables.
The testing will be limited to only the residents and staff at Meadow Lakes Apartments near Pine Hills and Omega Apartments in the Lockhart area.
Las pruebas se limitarán a los residentes del complejo de apartamentos Meadow Lakes cerca de Pine Hills y a los residentes de los apartamentos Omega en el área de Lockhart.
Our COVID strike teams will be focusing next week on some of the high incident locations.
Nuestro equipo de ataque COVID-19 la semana que viene estará centrado en trabajar áreas de alta incidencia.
And they will be providing testing in those areas.
Y estarán proporcionando pruebas en esas áreas.
The regional Orange County Convention Center drive-through testing site is also expanding to free antibody testing to the general public.
El centro de pruebas regional, ubicado en el centro de convenciones del condado de Orange, también está expandiendo para ofrecer pruebas gratuitas de anticuerpos al público en general.
With Governor DeSantis announcing Phase 2 reopening beginning today, our Parks and Recreation Division plans to lift some restrictions at our parks.
Con el gobernador anunciando la reapertura de la fase 2 a partir de hoy, nuestra división de parques y recreación se prepara para levantar algunas restricciones en nuestros parques y facilidades.
The athletic fields at 16 parks have been in high demand since the governor's lifting of the restrictions.
Los campos deportivos o de atletismo, 16 de ellos han tenido una gran demanda desde que el gobernador levantó las restricciones para actividades deportivas juveniles.
The Orange County Parks Division will open athletic fields for youth sports and tennis centers on Tuesday, June the 9th.
Nuestra división de parques abrirá campos deportivos para centros de actividades juveniles y de tenis a partir del martes 9 de junio.
You can locate additional information about the various parks in Orange County that will be reopened by visiting our website at ocfl.net/parks.
Puede conseguir toda la información y consultar los detalles de los planes de apertura en la página web ocfl.net/parks.
And at this point, I'm going to ask Commissioner Gomez-Cordero to come forward if she would like to offer any statements as well. Commissioner Gomez-Cordero.
Gracias, alcalde. Buenos días a todos. Como ven, hoy la rueda de prensa fue temprano. Y tengo tres cositas que decirles a todos ustedes. Primero, hoy a las 3 de la tarde va a haber un meeting virtual donde usted puede, ¿verdad? Enviar sus preguntas y todo con relación a todo lo que está pasando con las protestas y con lo que está pasando con la policía, para que usted se oriente también. Ahí va a estar la congresista Val Demings y va a estar también el sheriff Mina, y van a estar otros oficiales para que usted pueda, ¿verdad?, beneficiarse de todo esto que el condado le está haciendo para beneficio suyo y para que usted sea informado. También acuérdense que el 8 de junio, que es el lunes que viene, acuérdense que es donde van a poner, ¿verdad?, va a estar disponible la solicitud para que usted solicite para los pequeños negocios. Acuérdense, son $10,000. Se van a ayudar a sobre 6,000 pequeñas empresas que tengan 25 empleados o menos. Y también para los individuos y familiares que necesitan pagar sus rentas, su mortgage o cualquier bill médico, $1,000 que se le va a dar directamente al vendor, o sea, a la persona que usted le debe. Ese dinero va a ir directamente a la persona que usted le debe, así que usted tiene que someter todos esos papeles que usted, ¿verdad?, quiere que se le pague y usted se puede beneficiar de esto. Y a los pequeños negocios se le va a dar el dinero directo y viene de la oficina del controller, ¿ok? Y lo otro es, acuérdense siempre, guarden distancia, pónganse en su mascarita y vamos a bajar estos números del COVID-19. Dios me los bendiga y cuídense.
Okay, this concludes our press conference this afternoon. Muchas gracias and Dios los bendiga.